it's hanging in there till about 6 o'clock p.m. It hasn't been sort of lasting too long there, Larry, has it?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, it's been, the way conditions have been going over here, we've had a lot of north and south DX at the same time, pretty much all last week. Real heavy north and south skip, and skip to the east for us has been staying in there pretty late in the day. So, and we haven't had a whole lot of north and south that short skip, you know, in a while. So I'm sure maybe a lot of people, I'm guessing, were busy doing that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I know I told you before, but man, I hear you guys out there all the time. So it's kind of, especially in the evening. Like I said, you know, when it gets quiet everywhere else, I know I always got conditions going down there. So that's why this time of the day I always swing this Big 8 down there, down under the QSL.
Yeah, copy that, Larry. Oh, that's it, man. I was actually out in the Mobile earlier. I was out in the Mobile earlier trying to make a bit of noise, but conditions just weren't there. They just disappeared. So I thought I'll give it a try out of the Mobile, but yeah, no luck. No go, man. The conditions just weren't there. So I guess I picked the wrong day to get out there in the Mobile and give it a try there, Larry, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. And it was kind of a little low. You see, over here we've pretty much been able to hear Hawaii, I mean, all day long. There hasn't been, you know, too much to the east going on, except in the real late afternoon, maybe about, I don't know, 5 hours ago, maybe 6 hours ago, something like that. But it's like over here right now, it's about a quarter after 10 on Saturday night right now. But late in the evening, you know, maybe 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it was pretty noisy in there then. But pretty much all day was a little on the quiet side. But yeah, it was. I know if it would have been one of those real noisy days, I'm sure you could have been doing a whole lot of talking in the Mobile there, QSL.
Well, hey man, we just thought we'll get out there in the Mobile and give it a try, you know. I went up on one of the tall mountains around here. They got a couple of big communication towers on top of them. And then I'll get up there and have a try, and I could hear a lot of guys. I could hear a lot of guys, but I couldn't get back to them. It just wasn't strong enough there, though. Either that or I'm just a mud duck. I guess, you know, working mobile and working like we're doing now with the big Yagi, it's a big difference, man. Definitely a big difference already.
Oh, I know it is. I know, I mean, because like right now, I'm not even really doing, the peaks are barely cracking 100 watts, so I'm not doing pretty much nothing out here right now. But I know if I did the same thing in the Mobile, I don't think anybody would hear me out there. And sometimes, you know, when I'm riding around in my Mobile, it's kind of like, you know, I know it doesn't talk nowhere near as easy as this thing does, but it's like in that thing, man, I got to come out there with some pretty heavy watts there, QSL.
That's what it's all about, mate. If you've got the wattage, I guess if you've got the wattage out of the Mobile and a good heavy-duty antenna system, well, you can make a lot of noise. I know a lot of the Hawaiians do it, man. They get out there in their Mobiles, and a lot of the Americans as well. They just get out there and talk, yeah, just about anywhere. There's conditions now, of course. But, you know, they seem to, they definitely seem to make a lot of noise running all that wattage. So I guess that's what it's all about, man. I guess you've got to run the wattage to make up for what we're doing now. You know, we're not running a whole lot of wattage, but we've got the big antenna for the gain. So I guess in the Mobile it's the other way around. You've got to run the big wattage to try and get a similar sort of signal out there, right?
Oh, yeah. That's how it is. You know, I wish I can carry this antenna with me in the Mobile. I wish this thing I can fold it up or something, man, and take it along with me. But yeah, and I used to see before. That's all I used to talk was in the Mobile. I you know, I had a little stick up in there over here just to listen on and, you know, do some you know, local talking at nighttime once the DX fell out. But you know, I had a little ground plane up here and ended up pulling that down, and you know, that was up for maybe like 6 months. It wasn't too long, but after that, it was all quads after that, you know. But in the Mobile, I was strictly a Mobile operator, and I mean, even in there right now, I still got I got 2 sets of batteries, or actually there's 6 batteries in there, 2 sets of 3, so I got them series parallel, so I got 2 sets of 18 in there, and I'm putting, a little over 300 amps of charge into it, and man, it was, when I was keying up in that thing, it was taking every bit of them 300 amps too to keep that thing, keep it from killing them batteries there, QSL.
Yeah, copy that, mate. Yeah, that's it, mate. I guess you've got to have the horsepower, you've got to have the grunt, the wattage, and that sort of thing to be able to, put out a good signal. I know it's bad, but that's the way it seems to be there, though. But yeah, mate, I wish the same thing sometimes. I think to myself, man, I wish I could take this big old 7-element Yagi and put it up somewhere, drive around in the mobile with it. Well, I know some of those shootouts now, and it looks like they got one of these big old Yagis, but in the vertical plane. When you sort of look at some of those shootout vehicles, it's just like having a big old beam on the vertical side there, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and I got a few different setups like that. I play around with sometimes too. Of course it starts small and ends up getting big, but I started out with just the drive and a reflector on there, and worked with that for a while, and then I went drive and a director, and that actually worked pretty good. Not having a back door on the antenna, there was just a drive element and one right in front of it, and you can actually, because the spacing requirement is so short, you can make a pretty compact antenna setup like that. But so that worked pretty good, and then I got another setup where I can put a 4 vertical on there. Then I got another setup where I can go 5 vertical. But the one I'm using right now, if I put that stuff together, and that's just for messing around in the shootout and stuff. But I've been using a 4-element setup, so I use 4 quarter wave verticals on that thing, and it works pretty good too. It's a pretty good talking setup, but the thing is, I haven't been using no heavy watts on there lately. But setup like that with the watts on top of it, man, that's a good talking DX kind of setup too there, QSL.
Yeah, QSL. Oh, that's it, man. With that setup, Larry, with the mobile setup like that, with the 4 elements, have you only got the one driven element and the other ones are just parasitic elements, like pretty much like a Yagi there, isn't it?
Yeah, I use one, I'm feeding the coax on the drive element, and my directors, the ones in the front, those are all insulated from ground, so those elements are all floating, and the reflector in the back, I got that one, it's off of ground, it's off of DC ground, but yet I got it grounded through a big mica cap. So it's like, I want to say it was like 1200 puff at about 25,000 volts, but I use one of those to ground the antenna through, and it works pretty good. It kind of, those things, sometimes they work better going straight to ground, sometimes they're better insulated. Every one is different, but that setup right there seemed to like the rear reflected, or the rear reflector grounded through a capacitor, and the rest of them floating. That seems to be the setup for that particular mobile there, QSL.
Yeah, QSL, man. Yeah, I guess that's all you got to do, man. If you want to get out, you got to try and make some sort of beam on your vehicle. I guess so you can sort of point your vehicle somewhere, and most of your signal's going to get out that way. So I did it once with one of my vehicles. I had one, I had the driver in the middle of the roof. Had the driven element was on the middle of the roof, and then I had a parasitic element on the boot. And I found it gave me about a 1 dB gain sort of thing, I know it's not much, but it sort of gave me a little bit of direction anyway. Just had like a dummy element on the boot and made it into like a beam there, Larry, wouldn't?
Oh yeah. And checking them out, I've gone out there with I usually do it with a field strength meter, and I'll run it. The first reading, I'll go about maybe 50 feet around the drive element, and take some readings there. If I'm trying antennas or usually I figure them out on paper first, and before I even go out there. But once I figure them out on paper, they're pretty much good to go. I very rarely have to touch them up after that. But just to give me an idea of what's going on, I'll take a reading at about 50 feet, and then I'll usually go out about maybe 100, 150 feet, and then I might do another one at about 200 out. But then testing that far, I got to put some watts in there. I usually like doing my test real low profile, like less than a watt. That way nobody knows what I'm doing out there at my spot. But then once everything is said and done like that, the real test is what I'll do is I'll key it up and talk to somebody local. I'll usually try to get somebody, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 miles away, and do some quick tests like that. And once that's good, then I'll put it all out there in DX. But yeah, it's a lot of fun though. And I'm sure once conditions pick up a little bit more, I'll probably be out there in Mobile more often. But I know one thing though, you need those big watts and those big beam setups on the Mobile to get around one of these big antennas right here, there, QSL.
Yeah, QSL. I know there's a lot of competition out there now, and a lot of guys are doing it, especially on the bowl, man, down on the Super Bowl and Channel 11. A lot of guys get down there and make a lot of noise, run all that big wattage and the big antennas, I guess. So that's why they're so noisy down there. What sort of wattage do you run out of your Mobile, Larry, if you don't mind me asking? What sort of wattage you got in your Mobile, Reggie?
Well, if I put it, see that thing very, very rarely would I key up on the sideband with that thing. I mostly use that on AM, just on down there on them frequencies, because you need so much there. Everywhere else I could run on the driver and stuff, but the few times that I have keyed that thing here on 385, I got a 5K slug, and it made that meter smack the side of the case, so it was well over 5 kilowatts at QSL.
God damn! Oh man, that's a lot of wattage, man, out of a Mobile. But then again, that's maybe that's child's play, man. That's only a small wattage compared to what some of the other guys do now in the bowl. Man, I've heard of some guys doing 100,000 watts out there in the bowl, man. So 5 kilowatts. That's I guess in real terms, it's like running 5 watts. But man, hey, for 5,000 watts, man, definitely some decent wattage as well there, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it talked pretty good. And the funny thing about it is, if he used that anywhere else, it's you're gonna pretty much talk when you want to, but down there, that's it's not really in that big of a box, and for the Mobile, there is before, like say how it's been the last few years, DX was kind of down, wasn't really in there real hard. A lot of people with bigger equipment like that, they disconnected it or took it out of the Mobile, so they're not hauling all that garbage around with them. Especially when there wasn't no DX in there to where you really couldn't use it. You were just hauling around extra weight. But there'll be more of them back out there now. It kind of got the band got a little bit to where you could have an 8-pill or something like that, or 16-pill, and do a lot of talking, but I'm sure once that everybody figures out DX is going to be in there good for a while, I'm sure all those bigger ones are going to come back out there. So those boxes like that, or what people do, a lot of people do, is they'll pull their big ones out and use their drivers as a big box. That's what most people do. But there'll be more around the band. But I haven't used mine in such a long time. I know all my batteries are dead and stuff because I never ever charge those things, but I got to get the stick-to-old battery charger on there and charge up those sets, and then I don't know, maybe one of these days when I'm running around in the evening, I'll key it up and point that thing down that way at QSL.
Yeah, QSL there, Larry. Listen, the channel's come alive again. We've got that noisy canyon out of Oregon making a heap of noise and a bit of Hawaii, so I'm going to take a standby, Larry, but good catching up with you. And man, I'd sure love to hear you out of the Mobile one day, man. So, one day I'll probably hear you out of that Mobile making all that noise. Anyway, you take care, Mr. Larry, all the best. Around San Francisco, World Radio 06. Always a pleasure hearing you, Larry, and we'll catch you again. Have a good weekend, brother.